My name is Shelby Johnson. I am making this video for my Theoretical Perspectives course. I will be defending the power elite theory by C. Wright Mills. On the screen, there is a photo of the author and sociological theorist C. Wright Mills. This video presentation has been created to defend the work of C. Wright Mills. I will be focusing on his theory of the power elite from the book Power Elite. Section 2 of this presentation will be an overview of what the power elite theory is. Section 3 will be my defense of the power elite theory, and I will be talking about what I believe to be true with C. Wright Mills' theory. The final section will be a summary of the presentation, how I organize this presentation, and the findings and main points of my argument. I have included my reference at the end of this presentation. To defend the power elite theory, we need to establish a basic understanding of what the theory is about. Mills theorized that there were three separate pillars of American society that are controlled by a select few people known as the power elite. Mills claimed that the three pillars known as the economic order, the political order, and the military order were controlled by a few people, and that those people were the ones that made decisions for the whole country. Mills said the power elite is composed of men whose positions enable them to transcend the ordinary environments of ordinary men and women. They are in positions to make decisions having major consequences. Mills theorized that these positions of power led those in power to make decisions that benefit themselves instead of the whole country. When Mills talks about the three pillars, he's talking about the economic order, the political order, and the military order. The economic order refers to the few corporations that have a monopoly on the economy. At the time of publishing, he was referring to 200 to 300 corporations that were working together to make sure that they held complete control over all forms of the economy. The political order references the United States government and the people that control it, so like politicians. The political order was once very separated and was not stable. That is until there was one cohesive form of government that took control and now handles almost everything in day-to-day life. The military order is the United States military. That is one of the largest and most expensive features of the government. These three pillars form a social hierarchy that causes massive separation of status and wealth in citizens of the United States. These orders are the ones that end up making any and all final decisions that can directly impact every single citizen. Mills wrote this theory as a way to warn the citizens about how these three orders have completely taken over the American population, and urges the population to realize that the ones that have the power in these orders are inherently corrupt and that there needs to be a change of sorts. Mills talks about how there is a tier system within our society that places the needs of the ordinary person at the very bottom of the to-do list. When talking about the idea of the power elites, Mill brings up how capitalism is a tool used to enforce the hierarchy that is being defined here. One part of capitalism is the need and want to either get rich and stay rich. Mills talks about how in order for a person to reach a certain status in the power hierarchy, they have to have access to money. One way of getting access through money is corporations. Mills says that in fact, no one can become rich or stay rich in America today without becoming involved in one way or another in the world of the corporate rich. This shows that having power is directly linked to wealth in the economy. Without wealth, there is no way for a person to find themselves in a position of power because the system set in place is created to keep levels of power away from the ordinary American. When discussing the political order of this theory, Mills talks about the two types of politician. He talks about the party politician who, while being a professional part of the government, he does most of his work at parties. The other type of politician is the outsider. They have the ability to be a party politician, but they are more often focused on trying to move into the inner circles of the government. Mills says that they may become party politicians by cultivating their role inside a political party and coming to base their power and their career upon their party connections. Mills also claims that today, the men at the political top are much less likely to be bureaucrats, and rather less likely to be party politicians than political outsiders. This means that politicians can be more focused on becoming an insider than being a professional part of the government. That means the political order is more likely to be self-serving rather than for the working people. The military has become part of the power elite because there is an overlap between the interests of the military powers and the power of the government and economy. Mills says that there is a military clique, but it is more accurately termed the power elite, for it is compromised of economic, political, as well as military men whose interests have increasingly coincided. This means that the power of the military is now working with other members of the economic and political powers, and that means it is easier to target what those members want because they have the resources and availability to get what they want. In this presentation, I defended C. Wright Mills' theory that elites in America have the most power and share the same ideas because of the fact that most come from the same background. My argument included how to have power in American society, you need to have wealth, which directly involves the economy. You also need to have the ability to form connections through either a shared background or the ability to relate based on wealth or any other sort of relationship. I argue that Mills' theory is correct because in today's current society, the people with the power have access to the money. They are making connections in politics and the army. They are making it possible for themselves to get what they want, even at the cost of the American people. Mills ends his book by talking about what we need to do as a society and how we could possibly change what has happened. He says, in the meantime, we must judge men of power by the standards of power, by what they do as decision makers, and not by who they are or what they may do in their private lives. Our interest is not in that. We are interested in their policies and in the consequences of their conduct in office. I believe that Mills' theory is still one that resonates to this day because many politicians and people of power are not being held accountable for their actions because of their wealth. Thank you.